the flow of love is like a flow of water from the mountain spring, flowing down all the way, getting bigger and bigger to the ocean. And that's exactly how a family is nourished by this life-giving love. Love is life. So it goes from one generation down to the next generation. And wherever there is this deep emotional trauma, because the orders of love have not been obeyed by family members, it's like you put a rock in the stream. And now the flow of love is blocked, like the water would be blocked running downstream. And this block is sitting there until it's physically or emotionally or metaphysically moved away to the side, and then the water flows like the love flows through the family again, and it flows just through all generations as if it was never there.
Okay, welcome to Divine Love Ambassador with your host Mary Jo Halligan. Today I welcome a wonderful guest to talk about family constellation. Beautiful Maia here with me, who, from what I can gather, is somebody who is quite an expert on the family constellation, both in person and now since 2020, virtually as well, developing the virtual capabilities and accessibility really globally to family constellation. And so, so I look forward to dive in with Maia today to talk about this and to unpack it in a way that anybody who has not heard of it or is curious about it will have more insight and awareness to what it is and why you would do it and the benefits that you could expect from it as well. So Maia, if you tell a little bit about your background and how you got into family constellation and where your drive and passion and consistency with this modality is coming from.
Sure. Thank you, Mary Jo, for inviting me onto your podcast. It is my favorite topic to talk about family constellation, as it is my passion since over 20 years. To provide for self-healing, obviously, but as well to provide it as a healing modality to others in workshops, in one-on-one sessions, and in trainings to educate others to become facilitators. Now, this all started with Bert Hellinger in Germany in the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s. He has developed, he was a psychotherapist. Before that, he was a Catholic priest. And then out of his work, and he was always at the forefront, just a brilliant creative mind. Out of his work with groups, he was working in supervision groups. He developed this modality, which we now know as family constellation, or Familienstellen, as it is called originally in German. And it is a methodology to look at traumas that are intergenerational, meaning that they have occurred in past generations, and through epigenetic inheritance passed down to the descendants. So if you will, you think of a trauma that happened in the generation of the great-grandparents, let's say the First World War, then a young man has sent as a soldier and had a huge trauma from all this death and killing people and all of this. And when he then comes home, has a wife, he has a son. This son will not inherit the memories of him, but the trauma will have damaged the epigenetics of the father. And this damage is passed on to the son. And in the son, it would probably express itself as an allergy to hay or hay fever or allergy to cats or something like that. So completely unrelated. And when now this young man has to go in the Second World War, he has his own traumas, obviously, and comes back and marries and has a child and another son or a daughter, doesn't matter. Now he would pass on the epigenetic damage of his father and his own one. So then his daughter would, or his son would, I don't know, would probably have a dermatitis or a psoriasis or something like that. So, and it could be really anything. And then it comes down generation by generation, gets worse and worse, and then it ends up with somebody in the family who really want to heal it, who's not playing along with it anymore, who has the deep desire to be unburdened because they understand there's more to life than just surviving and getting over whatever they have, symptoms they have. And if those people are lucky enough to find a facilitator who has trained in the method of Bert Hellinger to have a family constellation, we can find this original trauma. We can find the trauma from the First World War in his, let's say, great-grandfather. We can find the trauma in from the Second World War in this grandfather, and so on, and heal it there. Now, of course, you would ask, how is that impossible? Because we are working with the morphogenetic field. That is a field of information that every family system has. And this, it's like a computer cloud where you can upload all the data from your computer. And then you can download it when you need it. And it doesn't matter when you have written it, you can download it and work with it right now, right? And that's the same how we work with the morphogenetic field. We download the information from 100 years ago, if you will. We work with it, and then we upload the new information, the healing information, which in turn overrides the old data. So instead of this traumatic experience that has occurred, now we call it the flow of love, the reconciliation has taken place. Now it is transformed into nourishment for the family soul, love, and not a trace of the traumatic experience is left. And it ripples down all the way to the current generation, and they feel this relief from whatever symptoms they're carrying. And the beautiful thing is about this mythology, it heals also everyone in between, because it kind of unravels. Like you have the loose thread of a sweater or something, of a knitted sweater, and you pull, and all of a sudden it all unravels. And that is when we are igniting this flow of love again, where it was once blocked through this deep traumatic experience. We're talking about emotional trauma here, and we are looking at it with the help of representatives who are representing family members, and they are resonating with the information of the morphogenetic field, and very accurately will tell you emotions, or they have gestures or facial expressions that shows in trained and experienced facilitator exactly what kind of dynamic happened there. And also, and that is the beauty of the work that we have, the beauty of the work that Bert Hellinger gifted to us, if you will, is that we work with what he calls the orders of love to achieve balance between the family members again.
What do you call it? The order of love.
The orders of love. There are 3 orders of love. Yeah.
You want to go into
in German, it's called die Ordnungen der Liebe. We can translate it to English as the orders of love, or love's hidden symmetries. Yeah. And it is a very, it's a very scientific or mathematic system, if you will, with which you detect who belongs to the family system, because we only work with the members of the family system who belong. Otherwise, we cannot occur healing. The morphogenetic field is only encompassing members of a certain family system. And then we have the second order of love that is teaching us in which order, in which ranking the family members belong to the family system. And then the third order of love is teaching us balance of giving and receiving. So that is in a nutshell what family constellation, how it looks like and where it can help with.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for that overview. I mean, it's very fascinating. To give a little bit more the practicality of how you're acting out that shifts and changes, sorry. so maybe just go back that you were doing them in person and how that has transitioned onto online, and just how you've experienced the change of dynamics. So what would happen in a physical arena and now what's happening in the virtual arena?
Okay, yes. So I was trained with Bert Hellinger and gained a bachelor degree in the family constellation and the method of Bert Hellinger at the University Jean Monnet in 2010. And then I have started, as he always did, working with people, with groups mainly. And then also one-on-one. You can also do this one-on-one. And after my shift, that was all in Germany and Switzerland, after my shift to New Zealand, where I found out this is not very well known methodology. So I couldn't get big groups together to really make that work, this modality. I found myself, during lockdown or just before lockdown in this situation to have to cancel this group event. And then I had a little experiment going on with clients and friends, or if we can do that online. And we were all absolutely blown away how powerful the group session, the workshop was online virtually. And that was the birth of Family Constellation Virtual, which has become one of the leading platforms for family constellation workshops, one-on-one sessions, and trainings. It is fantastic how the participants can connect to the morphogenetic field from their home. That I think has to do that they are not so self-conscious at home, that they feel more relaxed. They don't have to cope with group dynamics, or they don't have to travel and be stressed out about that to a special place where you gather. Seems to have an impact on the capability to connect to the morphogenetic field. And that's one wonderful outcome of this staying at home and doing everything virtually thing. And it is also amazing because now you're connecting internationally with people from all over the world at different time zones, come together from different cultures, from different traditions, also where the families have different traditions. We are coping with different topics, some that I had never had before. This connection is absolutely beautiful and is enriching the group experience by far, because consider that when you're part of a group session, you are representing, most likely when you're chosen, a family member from this client, yeah? And they come from a culture you have never been part of or never heard of and have no experience. And now you have this opportunity to resonate and feel emotions or get information from a world that is completely foreign. And I think this is also allowing us to understand each other better and to connect better. All in all, having said that, after now really focusing on the virtual family constellation world, I must say I wouldn't want to miss it.
So you mentioned that there's been some new themes that have come in that it's a little bit different. I'm just kind of curious. Do you want to share maybe some new themes or topics or new places you've kind of gone in the constellation since you've gone virtual, what it's opened up?
Like an example from a workshop. Well, interestingly, when we are working with clients from the Middle East, for example, they found themselves in the position that they are like a second wife to the husband. That is something that I have not studied with Bert Hellinger, because at that time in our world, in the center of Germany, we were not used to this situation. And that is opening up a new field that where you find new family dynamics and also new orders, or not the new order, but within the order, the second order of love precedence, new rules and regulations. So it's really widening the perspective, of course. We all now also nowadays have to also look at gendering, if you will. Yeah. So in the orders of love, we are working with male and female energy. That's very important because it's all about who has created life, like egg and sperm situation. So we're always working with a maternal or paternal line and specific genders. And now the world has opened up a little bit and offers insights into another structures in society that now have to somehow be considered and under the orders of love. Yeah, how that works there. So that's very interesting.
How have you navigated that? Because that's a huge global theme and topic that I think most people on some level is navigating, even if it's just conceptually or more practically within family members or community members. So yeah, how have you navigated that within your family constellation sessions or through these levels of love?
As a facilitator, you're also connected to the morphogenetic field. So although it requires a lot of knowledge and experience to understand, if you will, the language of the morphogenetic field, once you can decipher it and work with it, you are also part of the field, and you receive your information as much from the field as do a resonator or a representative. So you have to always keep an open mind. This is not a therapy. Bert Hellinger was very strict about it. You don't come into a concept. You have not learned. This is not a modality where you have learned. Okay, if A and B comes together, it's C. But you have to observe the dynamics that you see, and then receive also the information from the morphogenetic field that are important to find that what meant. No, there's a certain approach there where you are learning from observation, if you will, right? So so you are not in science. You come with a thesis, and then you make experiments to prove the thesis. That's science, like that's the academical approach. But and we know that from quantum physics, anyhow, that the observer is changing the result, right? So if you have a preconcept about the outcome, chances that you will witness this outcome are quite high. But when you are coming from this approach that you are the observer and you keep your mind completely open and you just observe and resonate with the particular information from the family system, then you have no concept about the outcome. And you just worried about the next step, and that we are working step by step towards flow of love, reconciliation, honor, and respect. That's what was missing. That was causing this emotional trauma that is held in the family soul. And that is the beauty of this work, is that you are really you are observing and you are connecting to the field, and you are in the state of unconditional love. There is no judgment. You are not on anybody's side. There are no dramas. There are no tragedies. It is just one step after the other. Where is the block in the flow of love, and what needs to be said or done in order to heal that?
So you're like a neutral observer, but you're also being guided by the field of energy with the intention of reconciling love, or in whatever way, whatever needs to heal there. That's beautiful. It's quite simplistic in one way, and as you and we've talked a little bit about this as well, the difference to other, we'll say, modalities or different ways that people may be working. Often there is ideas being projected into the field of what something means. And yeah, if you understand quantum physics, the impact of one's consciousness if we come with our own ideas. So being open allows even a greater transformation and potentiality, right? For something new to transpire. So do you find, like, how do you find the experience for yourself? You said you've been doing this for 20 years and you're still as passionate as ever. So what is the experience like for you to facilitate these groups and constellations? What's that like as the facilitator?
Well, it's always wonderful because you are in this state of unconditional love where you are not judging, you are not thinking. I mean, thinking in meaning like using your mind excessively. You are open. You are in service to heal this family wound, whatever it is, whatever comes up. Everything can happen. There is no taboos, if you will. Nothing is excluded. Everybody is included. And that is this wholeness that fills you as well, right? So after this work done, you feel this wholeness, not only for the family system of the client, but also for yourself. And that is also the same for the representatives who are part of the group session. They are in the same space and they feel the same energy and the same enrichment if they are connecting, which most do. Not probably not every single one, but most do.
So
and
sorry, go on. Continue.
No, and so the outcome is for everyone who is part of a family constellation. Very positive is underwhelmed expressed. It's a very satisfying and fulfilling.
Beautiful. I mean, to go from in a physical room, I mean, my limited experience is that it's quite incredible, really, how quickly that intention, I guess it's intention, but to pick up on the energy of whatever the family dynamic is, and I guess that's agreement, and to feel that energy. I even had just somebody who'd done some family constellation come to visit me one day, and we just tapped in briefly, and I could feel the shift of energy within me. So has it been challenging for any of the group members? Like, have you bumped up against somebody just having a challenge to really come on board with that from all these different locations that are joining in your virtual room, or not so virtual, perhaps morphogenetic field room?
I would say the challenge is to drop expectations. Yeah. So the only obstacle in the way to receive this healing energy from this work, regardless in which role you are participating, is your expectations. Your expectations are limiting like the whole field, the broad field, to a tiny little narrow gap. And if something's not slotting in there coincidentally, then you kind of don't get anything out of it.
So, I mean, that's a huge, I mean, I think you've just got the crux of it just for human life. That our biggest challenge is our expectations. And when we actually relax those expectations, it opens up really the infinite possibilities and allow ourselves to receive and to go beyond our thinking mind and expectations, as you say. So I love that you said that, actually, because it's so simple and so profound. You know,
kind of, yeah. I like everything is simple and profound at the same time, right? Or the most simple explanations are the most profound insights.
Yeah. So how do you help people with that? Are you taking people on a journey to drop them, drop down through the brain waves or go into alpha? Or how are you supporting those who come onto your courses and trainings to, just tap into that? Is there something that you're really helping them, or is it just a conversation, or is it a journey or a meditation?
To access the morphogenetic field of a particular family system, you only need two prerequisites. You need to be present, and you need to offering your service to help. Other than that,
your agreement to
it's an inner agreement, yeah, when you are there. Other than that, everyone, you and me and every single person in the world, and every animal and plants as well, by the way, have the natural ability to tap into morphogenetic fields. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist from England, a brilliant scientist, has written lots and lots and lots about the morphogenetic field, how it works with animals, with plants, with people. There's YouTube videos of him. He has a wonderful channel as well on YouTube, and he has written many books.
His name again? Rupert
Sheldrake.
Sheldrake, yeah.
And he has also he also met with Bert Hellinger, and he has also some footage on YouTube about morphogenetic field and family constellation. It's a very scientific approach, and it is true. It is like this. It is like we can connect to the morphogenetic field like we breathe. We don't even think about it. We don't need to think about it, and we actually do that all the time. Just we are not conscious about it, and we are not using it consciously. That's the only difference. So as a facilitator, I'm guiding the participants to use it consciously, their ability. But they have it, and they don't need to train it, and there's no ritual or anything that's been needed. There is not even an inner, how can I put that? There is not even if somebody is unwilling to be part, they are part, and they are resonating. I give you an example. Something funny in one way. I had a free talk in Wellington, in the capital of New Zealand, for a group of people in a yoga studio who have not heard about family constellation yet, and who wanted to hear about it and see a demonstration. And I don't know how many people was there, 30, 40 people. Some of them knew family constellation, have been to a constellation, the majority hasn't. And as these kind of events go, 1.5 or 2 hours, they also bring people along, right? They bring their partner, they bring their best friends. Say, oh, you have to come. That's so interesting. I've seen that once, things like that. So we had a constellation as a demonstration. There's no such thing as demonstration. Once you ask somebody to talk and to resonate with their morphogenetic field, then that's it. You're in the constellation if you want it or not. So we had this constellation, and we asked, as we do, other participants to represent family members, or to represent a person or souls, in this case, that we don't even know yet who they are, right? That's the new family constellation approach that Bert Hellinger has developed after 2010. And so I asked a man in his 40s or something to get up and be a representative, and he was obviously felt a little bit awkward about it, because he obviously was one of these persons who has been dragged along by the partner to come and listen, and he was not expecting to do anything. He thought he's just, listening to and talk. However, so he was standing there all alone and felt very, very awkward. And then I asked him after a while, what do you feel? And he said to me, I'm very embarrassed, but I have to say I feel nothing. And I said, well, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. All right. And that was an information from the morphogenetic field. He didn't know that, but of course I knew that. So then I asked another representative, also a man, all guided by the by the morphogenetic field, by the information that I received as a facilitator.
You're being guided to choose those particular people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think about that. Right? Mm-hmm. It's just obviously there's, okay, this has to be. And then there was another man, and I put him up and asked him after a while how he feels. He said, I feel nothing. And see, where I'm getting to, that was a family pattern in this family. The men were completely disconnected from the emotion. So I had 4 more generations of men standing there in a row. Every single one said they feel nothing, and they were all embarrassed because they thought they're all failing at representing, And then there was the last one who felt something, a really wonderful expression of emotion towards. And so we perform something what we call the interrupted movement towards the father with each generation of this man. And every single time they started to feel something. Yeah. So we got one after the other from the back forward until we came to the one I put up first, and they turned around towards him, and he was like completely overwhelmed, broke down in tears, was super, emotional, and expressed a great relief of stuck emotion. Now, the constellation was over, and I explained that every single thing was a representation. And without them expressing that they feel nothing, we would not have found the pattern in the family system, and that what healed. And the proof was that they all these men felt deep emotions, which were not theirs. That was the information from the morphogenetic field. However, everyone who is resonating in a family constellation simultaneously works in their own energy field too. So I assume that of all these men that were put up at one level or the other, they had problems to express their emotions or access their emotions, and just being in this short demonstration, representing and releasing these emotions from a family member of somebody else that they are representing, they would shift their own energy field as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty fantastical, really. And I'm sure, ultimately it's reminding us, and of course, as you said, the science is there as well, of this interconnected web. And it's just a matter of focus and intention and a yes to to connect into it. I mean, it's really incredible, the capacity that we all have. Just one thing I want to ask you about the morphogenetic field. So, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, but the morphogenetic fields, they're like collective fields, if I'm correct. And is it like the more, like, for example, family constellation, because so much has been done within family constellation, it has established this stronger and stronger and stronger field of energy. That was once how it was explained to me. We'll say like another modality could have something else. And like we'll say access consciousness or something like that. And so it builds and builds. The more people who are practicing, it like say strengthens the field, but it makes it more accessible. Is that something you're aware of, or?
I have to feel into that. What I can say is that every system forms fields, every single system. Yeah. So fields are everywhere, everything. Like every animal who belongs to a particular breed forms a field, and plants and people are part of multiple fields. There is a field of the family, then there is the field of a religion if they're part of a religion, or even the field of a sports club, the field of their workplace. So we are part of all these fields simultaneously, right? And
another way of calling the field would be energy and information. Would that be correct?
Information, yeah. There's definitely information, yeah. Yeah. And so if you work with a field and you make it more accessible, I believe, yes, it is easier to access consciously, and it may be strengthened. It's energetically as well possible. The only assurance I have is through my study and observing Bert Hellinger's family constellations and my own work, is that the field, you can only work with a field that is organized. Yeah, you cannot work with a field that is chaotic in nature. And in order to be organized, it has to have a mutual intent. Yeah, that's kind of the mutual intent is of the members of this field is organizing it. For example, if you have the field of wolves, yeah, the wolves have their own morphogenetic field where they access information, or a flock of birds. Yeah, they have the intent to stay together, for example, to be stronger against predators, to in the case of the bird, to move with the seasons back and forth together, to procreate, of course, yeah, to pass on the strongest genes, and all of this is in information that makes them do the right thing. Yeah. For example, if you look at like thousands of birds that are taking off at the same time. And you look in the sky and they're forming a kind of a pattern, and then they turn in one instant in one direction and then in the other, right? You know they cannot communicate. It's going far too quick, and thousands and thousands of birds cannot communicate to go left to the neighbor. Yeah. So it is, they are accessing the same information in one instant. And that's coming from their morphogenetic field. And they practice that. They practice how to do that, and they get better and better and better at it. And when we do family constellation, we do the same, especially as a facilitator. When you're trained, it's all a little bit random and unorganized and uncoordinated, and then you get better and better at it, and you see the order behind it, and the organization, and it becomes a lot more instant and quicker. Yeah, certainly the energy field will get somehow more dense or something. I don't know how to explain that around it.
Intention and attention.
Yeah, exactly. So that must go probably hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah. So can you say a little bit like well, I guess no, I had a curiosity question earlier. Like what has it taken for you? Like how much of the work did you need to do to get yourself until you moved into the facilitator? I take it that you went initially just for yourself, and you took the training or you took the workshop, and then you had, you had, I can only imagine, your own internal shifts and changes that made you want to go deeper into it. Is there anything you want to say about that, of what that journey was like from beginning, or just being in the discovery phase of family constellation to when you really stepped into the facilitator?
Sure, happy to do that. I was reading Bert Hellinger books. He has written over 50 in his lifetime. Very passionate when I was a lawyer in Germany, as just some literature there, very uplifting and interesting and very wise. Yeah. And it never occurred to me that it's a practical modality, that you can actually do that. So when I tried to conceive a child with my husband, and it didn't work over 5 years, and no medical reason was apparent, my friend said, come to a workshop in Switzerland, come to a workshop with me. She was training and facilitating family constellation, and we did that. And I still don't exactly know what was going on in our constellation there, but sure enough, half a year later, I was pregnant and have now a very healthy, happy, and lovely 20-year-old son. So, so for me, that was absolutely magic, a miracle, really. And I wanted to know what could have made that happen. And then I had the great fortune that I was able to study with Bert and Sophie Hellinger at the Hellinger School at that time for 4 years. And going deeper and deeper into the orders of love, and it is so eye-opening and heart-opening at the same time. You work on your relationships with your mother, your father, your ancestors, on a very, very deep level. And the understanding is not what you ever learn from society about the love between parent and child, the deep, true love or the bond they have, beyond expectations and judgment, So that was, of course, very, very healing. And it is probably a natural, well, for me, definitely a natural flow in my life, that when I have dove deep into a topic, that at one stage is like the glass is full and full and full and overflowing, so I need to pass it on, right? Otherwise I would kind of I don't know, burst. So I started then to pass that knowledge on with my Family Constellation virtual trainings online with I haven't counted, but over 50, maybe 60 now trainees. They are going through this process themselves now under my guidance, and in 1.5 years, in average, they learn to the self-healing, of course, as a form of self-development, but also to be able to facilitate family constellations in the original method of Bert Hellinger. That's my main focus, to pass that on to others and develop in their area a community that uses family constellation as a intergenerational healing tool, and that's kind of rippling, you know, when you throw a stone in the water, it's like it ripples everywhere. There are little stones and they ripple and ripple and ripple, and that's wonderful to see. And that's I'm even more passionate about that, especially since Bert Hellinger passed away 2019. That it doesn't get too watered down, his teachings and his methodology, and that there are still facilitators who have trained with him who can pass it on to others. And yeah, I see me in this position as well, amongst others, and yeah, and very passionate about that.
Beautiful. So can you give people an idea then, like if they wanted to follow something like what you've done, like what the initial work is, and then that transition into potentially training with you and what that looks like in terms of time frames and
Yeah, some have actually never visited the workshop, funnily, and signed up for the training because they are guided, and we are all guided, right? They are guided, and we all start because we want to self-develop and self-heal and understand and deepen our relationship with our family members and shed emotional burdens. And of course, physical illness and disease as well, right? This is a fantastic soul healing modality that manifests in your body as well. It's not only about emotions, right? It is all kinds of illnesses and diseases can be healed. And infertility issues, as I said before, that's my favorite topic. The success rate of infertility constellations is very high, over 90%. So yeah, that's wonderful. So little detour. What was the question? Sorry, Mary Jo.
yeah, just if people are interested, like what that pathway may be, workshop, how long,
Yeah.
how long your workshops are, how long your training is, what's involved.
Yeah. So if somebody's interested in the training and signs up to the Family Constellation virtual training, they get access to 10 workshops, 5 modules. They are each 3 days long for the teaching content, and then we have monthly practice workshops. And once they have learned in about 5 months the theory, the theoretical knowledge of family constellation and the method of Bert Hellinger, then they are practicing, and they have, of course, observed me constellating in the open workshops also monthly. Then they can, under my supervision, we meet online on Zoom, practice themselves to facilitate with their fellow students. And that's my favorite events, because it is wonderful to see how they start to apply what they have learned and go through struggles and find a good solution and learn and evolve and grow and become passionate about it, to move to pass it on as well. That's absolutely wonderful to see. And it takes about I would say 18 months, sometimes 2 years. Yeah.
So people can go at their own pace, or
I'm transitioning now to offer that in the future. At the moment, we are working groups, so it's not self-paced. Some people from different time zones has to put up to get up in the night, but that will change eventually to make it more accessible to many more people, to have it self-paced. Yeah.
So I did have a little peek on your website before we jumped on, and I just seen about the nightmares. So how is the impact with the family constellation for nightmares? People experiencing weird, wacky dreams, nightmares.
You're referring to my podcast there, right? And my podcast series about nightmares and
Yeah.
terror, night terror. Yeah. Well, that's just one out. That's just a symptom. That's just a symptom. Like you can have nightmares, or you can have a skin disease, or you can have a liver disease, or you can have whatever. It's just a symptom. Where it leads us will only show. A family constellation will show where it leads you. What the root cause of it is. That is the beauty about this approach, that you can't say, okay, you have this symptom, that means that is the reason. That is kind of the school medicine approach, right? That is not true, because everyone is individual, has its individual imprint, emotional traumatic imprint, individually and in the family system, and the symptom is unrelated, so it doesn't give away what it was. And therefore, we need the help of the representatives to resonate with their family system and the morphogenetic field information and reveal where and why the imbalance happened, if you will, that caused now in this generation the nightmare. Mm-hmm.
So basically,
I have an yeah,
sorry, just the nightmares, the physical ailments, these are all systematic of unresolved trauma or energy or imprints, and that is breaking this link in the chain of love, so to speak. Would that be a way?
exactly, if you will? Yeah, exactly. I explain it like the flow of love is like a flow of water from the mountain spring, flowing down all the way, getting bigger and bigger to the ocean. And that's exactly how a family is nourished by this life-giving love. Love is life. So it goes from one generation down to the next generation. And wherever there is this deep emotional trauma, because the orders of love have not been obeyed by family members, it's like you put a rock in the stream. And now the flow of love is blocked, like the water would be blocked running downstream. And this block is sitting there until it's physically or emotionally or metaphysically moved away to the side, and then the water flows like the love flows through the family again, and it flows just through all generations as if it was never there, the block. Yeah, that's the beauty about it. It doesn't leave a trace. Yeah, and the best part is
there some level of learning or insight or compassion or wisdom that is kind of like the gem, you could say, from the stone, from the experience, from the imprint?
Yeah, you would think so, but my experience is more that you completely forgot it was ever there. So once you went through this healing, I have so many examples for that the clients completely forgot. They are free of this burden. They have more abundance in their life, more success, more health, more happiness, more whatever, and it feels as if it was always like this. Yeah. So it's not there that they are contemplating on the big shift they have achieved. Sometimes, yes, but most often not. Yeah. And then also the connection to the family constellation they have done is not always apparent, because a shift can take place from immediately to up to half a year. Yeah. So that is about, the time the soul movement takes place to manifest. And and I love that. I love this fact. I totally love that. And I was the same. You totally forget about it. I had to be reminded that by my friend that I became pregnant with a healthy pregnancy after the family constellation, because I forgot about it. So and then
it makes sense from this understanding as well that that there's like parallel realities, or like or just like we're not really living linearly, that it's simultaneously, and it's like shifting your energy from there, we'll say, over to another frequency, or over to another you know, as you say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
it makes sense that over there you're not going to be contemplating, we'll say, lack of abundance. If over here you're in the stream of abundance or stream of love and all is well, you feel taken care of, you're not going to be thinking thoughts of whatever the thoughts were
Yeah.
in the lack or the disconnect to that. So it makes sense. Yeah. It's
That's
fascinating.
like this. It is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask another question. How many generations do you end up going back? Is there some kind of idea? Seven. I hear people say 7 generations, 8 generations back, or what have you found with that?
So in the system, in the orders of love of Bert Hellinger that I'm referring to and that I'm teaching, we go normally back 7 generations. Or let's put it that way, the healing movement that takes place here in this generation goes back 7 and forward 7, right? So if you will. But this is not a rule chipped in stone. I have had a handful of constellations where we went further back, but it's really not the rule. And also, when you look at the family system, how many members it already contains, 7 generations back, because it's not only the blood-related people or souls that are family members, there are also others. They are born through destiny or action. You are ending up easily with thousands of souls in your family system, right? And imagine how many traumas there would be. Like you would be completely overwhelmed. So the system is not endless. It would become chaotic again. But the fields they require to be organized. So you need to limit the members of a family system, and therefore it is most often it stops after 7 generations, whatever dynamic we are looking at. And I do remember I had a family constellation in a workshop where we actually saw that this pattern that went through 7 generations, that the 7th generation said something like this is the end or something like that. Yeah. So that's interesting. That was an interesting constellation. So yeah, I can definitely subscribe to that. That is kind of the rule, if you will. Yeah.
I'm guessing in between seven generations, anyways, whatever imprints or unresolved energy or breaking up the link of love or the flow of love would be within those 7 generations. You know, there's probably something about
yeah. And there's enough to do within the 7th generation, I tell you.
I think so.
No need to go further back.
Wow. Yeah. And to track all that as well. I mean, that must be quite a bit to stay on top of and track, or I guess you're just so in it and present to what's going on. But I mean, I guess, yeah, it must be just like I mean, tracking energy, because you're not going to write anything down, right? You're just going to be so present
No.
what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the energy. Wow,
Correct.
amazing. So thank you for sharing all that. It's really, really fascinating. I feel like I've learned a lot more, even though we've had some conversations today. So I feel like we've unpacked it pretty well. Two things I want to say to finish off is anything else you would like to share to another element that I may not have asked you about or we haven't covered. And then if you just tell people where to find your website and any other information you want to give.
Sure. Yeah. We were talking or focusing a lot on group events, but this modality works fantastic one-on-one as well. And I'm also offering one-on-one sessions virtually, where we use, instead of real people, we use figurines to represent family system. And believe it or not, this innate matter, as we call it, is very receptive to the information of the morphogenetic field and does the most impressive movements as well, without any magic involved, to reveal that what the family system wants to reveal. So that's also for those who don't feel comfortable to open up in a group. That is the best way to still be able to access intergenerational trauma and heal it. And yes, you can find me on familyconstellationvirtual.com. There you find the workshop dates, you can book a one-on-one session, and you can find all the information about the training. And if any of your podcast listeners would be interested, please reach out, send an email, look up the website, and see what you say.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, if somebody was curious and interested, but they weren't 100% sure, is there any way do you have YouTube channels, or do you have
Yes.
videos and stuff as
Yes.
well? Yeah. So they'll.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel. Of course, our sessions are confidential, so I had a couple of public sessions recorded with the agreement of the audience that you can see on my YouTube channel, Family Constellation Virtual, and some videos are also on my website. And I have also podcast, an audio podcast, and a blog on my website where I dive deeper into some aspects of this work. Yeah, I maybe see you or hear you there one day.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again for sharing your time and your knowledge and insight and passion for Family Constellation. I've definitely
Pleasure.
felt more informed, and yeah, it's definitely something to deeply consider and to explore. Yeah, so thanks again, and yeah, your website really you've pretty well developed and everything, so you really have everything there. So well done, you. Amazing. Okay, well, thank you, Maia.
Thank you, Mary Jo.